Hey, there's the music. That means it's time for Animal Talk. Some of the best doggone pet people on the planet helping with your pets. I'm Jamie Flanagan.
I am Matt Fox. Hi, Jamie.
It is time for the show.
It is.
And me and my half of a voice.
Well, you know what? You're drinking water. We just celebrated National Bottled and Bond Day.
I know,
So you got a little bit of thing going on.
I got my froggy voice going for Animal Talk.
It's sexy.
It is.
It is sexy.
It is. So, Matt, you're in the middle of a move right now, and you had to move your cat.
Yes, I did.
And that's a big project.
You know, she was an absolute wonderful passenger in the car.
Yeah,
as she was going to her new home, and I still see her on a daily basis. She is my cat.
So, and I'm a cat guy too.
Yes.
You know, and Colleen was a dog person. She likes all critters. But she and I were getting our latest cat because I had Kirby for like 19 years.
Yeah, I love the Kirby. I really did enjoy Kirby.
And then he was gone. And then we had a few years, I am so catless.
But I'm so happy that Kirby, that you were Kirby's entire life, because you and that cat went absolutely everywhere.
We had a great time.
You had a great time. You took him to the radio station. You took him everywhere.
But when we were picking out the next cat, we wanted a big cat.
Okay.
We wanted a big boy.
Okay.
and
your current kitty cat.
He's like long.
Yes,
he's not a fat cat. And there was like a point in
he's very slender
in Kirby's life. He was like Garfield. He was like. All right, like, what are you feeding him?
I don't like Mondays.
He got really, really big.
Right.
I just kind of free fed him, and I was a single guy. I didn't know what the hell I'm doing here. Open the bag, let him go. But when we're looking for the cat, we're looking for a big cat. And we found a big cat. We love having
Percy cat,
the big cat. But some people, when they say they want a big cat,
they mean a big cat.
They want a big cat, and you know what? You think, and you're like, that'd be cool.
Yeah, let's get a bigger cat.
I got more money. I got more money than sense. I can do this.
All right.
And then you get this, exotic pet.
Oh, you're talking big cats.
Like an honest to God big tiger.
Because you have more money than sense. Okay, now I get it.
A cheetah or, a panther.
Bigger?
There's the rumor of the Michigan panther. Right. And it's like there's all these spottings, and people say that there's this panther. Somebody's pet and it's loose, and now it's loose in Michigan. And there's always these sightings. Every summer you'll get like 2 or 3 sightings of the Michigan panther. It is downright dangerous to have that wild of a critter. It's got to be misrepresentation, because if there was really a panther out there, there'd be a lot of dead poodles, I think, and more trouble. But the problem is that's the problem. There's people with more money than sense, and they go out and they get these critters, and then they can't care for them. They don't know how to care for them, or they don't know how to get them the medical care that they would need, or the municipality that they live in, they're not abiding by the laws of said municipality. It's incredibly illegal. It's surprisingly not as illegal as one would imagine, right? And there's people currently working on legislations. We've talked to our friends in Washington D.C. at the.
We have friends in Washington D.C.
We do. It's just, believe it or not, it's the Animal Wellness Action Group, and Marty and. Marty's been working on some big cat legislation. They've been doing that. They've been doing tons of stuff.
Sure.
And they work on all kinds of things with the coyotes and the wolves and the burros and the wild horses, and horses and horse racing. They have a lot of things that they're working on. And we've talked to Marty a few times. But we wanted to talk to Marty about the big cats. And Marty is pulling out the big guns.
He kind of is
working in Washington D.C. right now, because he's got Carole freaking Baskin's with him.
I love it.
Carole, Marty, welcome to Animal Talk.
Hi, guys.
No, thank you guys for having us again.
Yeah. So Matt and I, because we're cat lovers, and I'm enamored by the beasts and the majesty of it, and to see them, and I guess that's probably part of the problem, is that people are so enamored and they are so majestic and beautiful that you want to see them, and you want to see them up close.
They're judgmental sometimes.
I can imagine. So what is the legality of owning currently a big exotic, a big cat in the United States right now? Is it state by state, or is it legal?
Yeah, you're doing a lot of work. Help us understand what's out there. How can we understand this a little bit more?
Well, first off, I think people are in love with the idea of owning a big cat because they have a very romantic notion of what that is, and it's nothing like the truth. Right. But as far as the legality of it goes, in the United States, there are 4 states that have no laws whatsoever about whether or not you can own big cats. And everybody else has some form of ban or partial ban of owning big cats. The problem is all of those other states, not 2 of them, have identical provisions. So it's this huge patchwork of issues that have led to the need for this federal bill that Marty's been working on.
All right, Carole, if you outlaw big cats, only outlaws are going to have big cats. That's what I'm saying. It's no, that's not good logic. All right, so Marty, so it's called the Big Cat. What law is it? Big Cat.
It's the Big Cat Public Safety Act. It's
Public Safety.
HR
Thank you.
263 in the House of Representatives and S1210 in the United States Senate. And Carole has been here all week in Washington D.C. lobbying. I think we did 38 meetings in person. With staff and members of Congress. Great. And so we are working to pass that legislation. It passed through the House of Representatives once in the last Congress in December of 2020, but we only had 3 weeks left in the Congress to get it through the Senate. Weren't able to do that, too much of a tight window, so we had to start over again. But we have 256 of 430 or so members of Congress in the House as co-sponsors, including 50 some odd Republicans. We have about 47 total in the Senate, and that is huge to have 300 co-sponsors on any bill. So there's no greater priority for us on the federal level this year than the Big Cat Public Safety Act. And for life with Carole, she's been doing this her entire life, so for a long time.
That's a lot of hard work and a lot of hours put into it. What led you down this path to want to be an advocate for for this type of a passion? Help me understand that. Where does that come from?
It comes from naivete and thinking I can fix
this.
Did
I tell you the door for you?
Yeah. It's like, how hard could it be? Surely people shouldn't have lions and tigers in their backyards. And that was my reaction when back in the 90s we started rescuing bobcats and lynx from fur farms, and then people started calling and asking, will you take my lion? Will you take my tiger? And I thought, well, surely we can get a law passed that would ban the private ownership of big cats so that this problem no longer exists. Sure. And we worked for years, and finally, with the help of a number of animal protection groups, got the Captive Wildlife Safety Act passed. And that passed in 2003, and it made it illegal to sell a big cat across state lines as a pet. So we thought we were done, but the bad guys are pretty creative, and they figured out they could sell big cats across state lines as pets by just doing it for cash, and nobody would be the wiser until there's a tiger running loose, and by then they're long gone. Yep. So we've been trying to close that gap since 2003.
All right. So what will this new the Big Cat Public Safety Act change? What would be the change in be?
You want to take that, Marty?
Carole, go ahead with it. We've said this at least 40 times this week, so I think you have the spill down a little better than I do.
What's one more platform? Go ahead. Come on.
So what the Big Cat Public Safety Act does is it corrects a technical flaw that there was in the language that met in 2003. For U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to take any action, somebody had to violate a state law and a federal law at the same time. Ooh. And that was not the intention. The intention was that there not be any big cats as pets. And so we're correcting that technical flaw. But the two main things, and we've tried over the years to bring into this a lot of other provisions that we would really like maybe convicted criminals, people who had been caught doing wildlife trafficking shouldn't own exotic animals anymore. And we've had to drop every bit of it except for the two biggest issues. And one is the supply of all of these cubs that end up in private hands. And then the other is where they can dump those cubs when they can't use them any longer, which is into private hands. So it prohibits cub petting and it phases out private ownership. So people who have them can keep them. They just can't buy or breed more.
Okay.
So this past week, what has your experiences been like? Who have you been meeting with? Help us understand some of the conversations that you've been having out there.
Yeah.
Well, I'll jump in here and let you guys know. I think we had 38 meetings between Monday night and this afternoon. We had Carole here all week. We had wonderful lady Shelby Babowski with the Texas Humane Legislation Network that came up. We were really working the Texas delegation hard as well.
Mhm.
Had one of the best meetings we had, I'd say. People will probably find this surprising, but was with Ted Cruz. And we spent about 45 minutes with him. And I have to say his staff, as soon as we left, said that was as great as a meeting could possibly ever go with Ted Cruz. So Carole Baskin has the magic touch with Ted Cruz, I can tell you. And we talked a lot about the incidents in the state, because there were at least seven cats that got out last year and had various incidents, tigers and such. 3 were really dominating the news for a while, but they had 7 cases, and that's the only state where this happened last year. So a big part of the problem is in the state of Texas. And met with a lot of other folks from about 10 or 12 states. We thanked some people who had already co-sponsored the Big Cat Public Safety Act. Some we were asking them to co-sponsor, asking them to vote for it when it comes up for a vote. And our afternoon this afternoon ended with a really big bang, I'd say. Is you always want to try to meet with the leadership in Congress, whether it's Chuck Schumer or Nancy Pelosi or Mitch McConnell or Kevin McCarthy, both sides of the aisle. And we happened to get a request from Senator McConnell's office for Carole and I to come see them around 4:00 this afternoon. So that was a good way to end the week, and that wasn't planned. And we think we had a really great meeting with them as well. And we're going to move this bill. We're going to get it done. Carole's been working for decades on it, and there's more support than there's ever been in Congress, in the private sector, in the nonprofit world. It's a no-brainer for most people out there.
That's great.
So there's good momentum in Washington, which is, you don't hear that often. there's positive, there's positive momentum in Washington. If someone cared about this and wanted to be involved, would it behoove them to contact their representative and say, hey, where are you at on this bill? Please support. Does that help? Is that part of your project?
Yes. And Carole, you have some great resources you may want to tell them about, right?
Yeah, we do. So if people go to bigcatact.com and put in their name and address, it will know who your senators and your members of Congress are. And then it gives you 3 options. And I hope people will take all 3. You can send an email that we pre-populate for you. It can send a tweet to your member of Congress that we pre-populate for you. And it can actually dial all 3 of your members. So it'll dial both of your senators and your representative in succession. And you just stay on the line, and we give you a little script that just says, please ask your boss to co-sponsor the Big Cat Public Safety Act. And the system even knows whether or not your member is a member or is a co-sponsor already, because we have 256 in the House and 47 in the Senate. And so if they're already a co-sponsor, it will ask you to thank them.
Wow.
That's a nice little tool.
I love technology. I really do.
And the Congress people probably appreciate that when the person calling is a little bit informed.
Right.
A little bit of knowledge is a dangerous thing, but having that little bit of information, it just makes you sound a little bit more intelligent, and they take the call a little more seriously.
That's something I talk about. It's like you have enough information to be dangerous, if you will, but at the same token, you want to be knowledgeable about your passion and what you want to support at the same time. So thank you for what you do.
Yeah. So all right. So just talking about just people's love affair with the animals. And then Carole, on your site, on the Big Cat Rescue site, it's some interesting disturbing eye-opening videos about cub petting, and a lot of people that have these roadside zoos or smaller attractions or air quote zoos, that's what was a common practice for them, and a money raising thing, because it costs a lot of money to care for these critters. So that was a way of raising money, but it seems really dangerous. From the videos, it seems like an extraordinarily dangerous practice. But just America's love affair with these big cats. Is there any place to have them, in zoos or, Vegas shows? In your opinion, what's good? What's bad? Should we stop breeding them and let them phase out as creatures of captivity here? Where should tigers be in the United States or in Africa or wherever?
My belief is that all wildcats belong in the wild. And I'm pretty sure the wildcats share my opinion, because if you were to open the door, they will show you their preference, and they are never going to come back. Even if it is a hard life out there to support themselves, they'd rather give that a try than being in your cage. So I think that we are going to have to remake the way we deal with wildlife in the wild, and that we will need to monetize them in the wild in such a way that enables their survival. And I think the first step toward that is, of course, passing the Big Cat Public Safety Act, because as long as you can go to your local mall or a rodeo or a fairground and pet a baby tiger, you're never going to do the hard work of protecting them in the wild. And my vision is to have live streaming web cameras in all of the places where these cats live natively, and have a subscription feed, just like you would have for Netflix or Hulu, that people subscribe to in order to see these cats in real time living free, and then to use smart contracts and cryptocurrency to put the money, the lion's share of that money, back into the pockets of the people who live next to these animals. Those are some of your poorest communities who are burning down forests in order to eke out a meager existence. Whereas if they could be the ones in charge of making the money off of the beautiful wildlife that they protect, it makes everybody a game warden, and that saves our entire planet.
When it comes to that whole cat rescue, the big cat rescue, what is some of the cost that's, that it takes to take care of some of these animals that we're facing on a daily basis?
At Big Cat Rescue, we have 51 cats. We just rescued a lion last night from an illegal owner in Florida. And it costs us between $3.5 and $4 million a year to take care of those 51 cats.
Wow.
And so we estimate that just a single lion or tiger over the course of its life will be about $1 million investment in food and vet care and housing and such. And so these cats can live into their late teens and early 20s at Big Cat Rescue.
Just like any pet, any dog or cat that you have today.
That's a whole lot of Netflix reruns there, Carole.
I don't think anything out of that.
Really? So there was the show that showcased it's bizarre. The whole I just want to call them characters. And people watching it, it's just as one character is introduced after another, it just doesn't seem real. It's like, this can't be real. And it's like it's just but then you see news reports and things, and you see that these people are in jail or going to jail or trying to get out of jail, and it's like, I guess that is kind of real. But just very, very strange. So because I can't imagine, did you give them permission to be on that, or did you get reimbursed for being part of those Exotics 1 and 2?
No. We worked with the producers for 5 years on what they said was going to be the equivalent of Blackfish for big cats. Were you guys aware of Blackfish?
No.
About the orcas and SeaWorld and how they're taken from their family pods. And then after that, nobody wanted to go to SeaWorld. They had to change their behavior. And so for 5 years, we thought we were working on a program that when people saw how abusive this cub petting is and how it's causing the extinction of the tiger in the wild, because none of these cats that are bred in captivity are purebred. They're all inbred and crossbred, and so they don't serve any conservation value. So we thought if people saw that, they would never support going to these zoos or having their pictures made with a cub. And instead we got Tiger King, which just hardly said anything about the animals.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It was just I'm not a big reality TV fan.
Neither am I.
And it's like all the Bachelors, and
I'll watch Next Level Chef.
I watch the Home Improvement stuff. I'm all about that. But even those are getting a little too reality TV for me. One couple, they're divorced, back together, and it's just build houses, get on with it already. But wow, that's amazing. I thought for sure that I'm like, all right, well, I could see doing it for the money because it costs so much to raise the cats. So you really got shafted on that all the way around. because they painted you just not in a great light. And do you fear for your safety? I can imagine just because you wouldn't think people would storm the White House, or Congress, the Congress building. And it's like, holy crap, people do some really ridiculous stuff. And there's people who are like, let's storm Carole's place, Do you fear for your safety as a result of those shows?
Not as a result of them. The public just became aware of the fact that these animal abusers want me dead, and they don't want me to be able to tell Congress what I know about the horrible things that they do. But I've known about this for the past 25 years that I've been working on this.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can't even tell you how many death threats over the years from these animal exploiters. I've been physically attacked. We've had our valve stems cut off of our van when we were transporting a bunch of our interns to Disney World for a day off, and all of the tires blow out at one time. My daughter was able to keep the van upright despite that. I mean, it's just been one thing after another all these years. And we had reported Joe Exotic for his, he had apparently, several people had contacted me saying that he had tried to pay them to kill me over the years, and nobody would do anything about it until they bumbled upon it themselves in a investigation they were doing about lemurs and found out about it.
Right. My goodness. Wow. So that's some of the things behind what you guys are doing in Washington, D.C. with the Big Cat Public Safety Act that you guys are walking through. The federal bill, it's going to address two of those things that you said earlier. It's the sources of abuse of big cats by ending owning big cats, right? And then the also was the stopping of exploitive roadside zoos from offering cub petting and those photo ops. So that work that you're doing right now, what's the next step that you guys are going to be walking through? You and Marty, what's going to be happening over the next couple of years?
You want to take that, Marty, as far as how this process works?
Yeah, sure. So, it is never easy to pass federal legislation. I can't tell you anyone I know that would ever say it was easy, but this
2020, it was 2020 the last time you guys had an audience with them, right?
Well, I've been here pretty regularly. I mean, I live like 3 blocks from the Capitol, but Carole has been coming in person.
Yes.
Carol's been coming in person since at least May of last year. So May of 2021. So we missed about a year of in-person, meetings and things from like March of 2020 to March or May of 2021. But it's been, we're in the right place. And, when you send out a meeting request and you ask for a meeting for Carole Baskin, you get a lot of yeses. So,
yeah, fair.
That's also a huge, huge advantage of having, Carole so widely known. I mean, she's probably, to me now, the most interesting woman on the planet and should be Time Magazine's Woman of the Year. Fair. But, it's amazing to see this because you cannot walk 10 feet without someone trying to stop and take a picture of Carole. I didn't mean to digress into that other than to tell you how long it takes to pass this and how many meetings we have to do and how many trips Carole's made. So it's at least 4 or 5 in the past, 8 or 9 months. And she's been here so regularly, but we have to get the bill passed through the House of Representatives, which we believe we will in the coming month or two on what they call the suspension calendar, where you have 2/3 of the House vote for something. They suspend the normal rules and it passes. Then we would take the bill over to the United States Senate. And what we want to try to do is go through what they call a hotline process. And they send out basically an email to all of the 100 senators, whoever the lead sponsor of the bill is, and says, hey, does anybody oppose this? Is someone to vote no? You hope they don't put a hold on things.
Right.
We have been able to do that with a few bills. It doesn't happen that often, but I think this is one that could go that route pretty easily, especially with what we've done in covering the folks who do like to put, I won't name names, but who do like to put a hold on bills. Typically, I think we've really had some great meetings with those folks. This is something everyone can get behind. And then, we have until basically the end of December to get it passed through the Senate before the Congress is over. And then, as soon as it passes the Senate, most bills are signed within a day or two by the president. And so the goal is to get it done, because if it doesn't pass, and it's going to pass, but if for some reason a bill does not pass in that Congress, you start over again on whatever bill you're talking about for 2023 from like day one.
I'm just a bill. I'm only a pill. I know.
You actually have seen that. I thought most people that I talked to that didn't take civics, but I love that movie. They should all watch that.
Because it was the 2019 to 2020 session of Congress. You had 2/3 of the votes, but that was on December 3rd of 2020. So between now and December of this year, there's a lot of work that's got to be done.
Yeah,
definitely there is. It's all headed in the right direction, though, and we feel really good about it. And the more that people can do what Carole asked about, going to the website, calling, and what a marvelous process she has set up there to make it so easy for when the more of that occurs, the better shot we have and the faster we're going to get this done. So that really does mean a lot.
All right. I don't mean to take you back to TV, but I want to go back to TV.
I want to talk philanthropic stuff.
I'm going to go to TV for a second, and then you can go back to philanthropic. But Carole, it surprises me that you got shafted. I can see how you got hoodwinked like that. We've talked to Paul Watson from the Sea Shepherd and the whale wars. They did that, and that because he got that really helped his project along. So I can see why you were trying to do that. Oh, this is going to help our project, and you're like, wow, this is a freak show. How did we get into this? But there's a new one coming out that's a bit more. It's not live, just live action, but it's with actors, right? So it's Carole it's Joe and Carole, right?
Joe versus Carole.
Joe versus Carole. All right, so that's coming out. What is? Do you have input in that, and are you benefiting from that? And are you excited about that one?
Well, I haven't seen it yet. It actually started streaming today on the Peacock. Okay. And it's Kate McKinnon playing me and Kyle MacLachlan playing my husband.
Hey,
and
there you go.
From what I've seen from the trailers and some of the interviews that Kate's been doing, it at least talks about the big cats, and they use CGI cats because we had begged that there not be any real cats exploited in something that was about me trying to end big cat exploitation. Yeah. And they never responded to us. I've never spoken to anybody with that production company other than the very first conversation that we had with Wondery. But she had said in some of the articles or the interviews that she's done that she based her character on my diary. So my diary is available on YouTube. It's every day of my life. I've been doing it for the last 2 years, going back to when I was a child. So she got a chance to see who I am and what I'm about and get that kind of background and see how I come across, which
there was never a sit down, talk to, one another one-on-one. It was always just.
So is the Big Cat Rescue going to benefit from that at all?
No. Wondery came to me after they did the podcast back in 2019. Before Tiger came out, there was a Wondery podcast called Over My Dead Body, Joe Exotic. And after that came out, they came to me and said, hey, we'd like to do a scripted series, which is what you were just trying to describe there. They call it a scripted series.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
And they wanted to pay me for my life's rights. And I said, well, come back after I pass the bill because my life's not over yet. And it won't be until this bill is passed. And so they said, well, we're going to do it without you anyway. So they did.
Yeah. Damn it.
Wow.
Big cats are just so important to the environment, to the circle of life, if you will.
Give me started about Hollywood. All right. Anyway.
Wow. So
talking about you give so much, and Matt wants to talk about the philanthropic work that you do. I'm curious how you fund the whole project. Yeah. How do you get these millions of dollars to take care of these critters?
As a financial wellness coordinator, that's what I do on a daily basis on a 9 to 5. And I talk about the whole budgeting, savings, and being philanthropic. If you want to put that into your budget, if somebody wanted to, help you and donate to your cause, what are some of the things that where would they go to find you to do that?
They could go to bigcatrescue.org/donate. And like I said, we do have to raise between $3.5 and $4 million. It's all done through private donations. I don't write grants. I don't know how. I tried. I was no good at it. There is no government money for this. There's no subsidies for it, even though it's the government causing the problem by not fixing this, by passing this bill, that all of these sanctuaries are having to deal with these huge costs. So it's private donors of $25, $50 a piece. And we used to be open to the public. So that was about $1 million a year of our revenue came from giving guided tours. And then at the end of the guided tour, we twist their arm to go call their member of Congress. So we're missing out on both getting all of those people, about 27,000 people a year to call their member of Congress. We're losing out on that because the cats can catch COVID. And so we can't open back up. And it's been really difficult to make up that shortfall. So I did get paid for Dancing with the Stars. I get paid for my cameos, and that's helping to make up that shortfall.
The whole COVID-19, that's like a zoonotic thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because we can't catch it from the animals, but they can catch it from us.
Yeah, it can. Yeah.
Well,
we can catch it from mink, but I won't go there. That's a different topic.
That's a different.
You could have a whole podcast on that whole mink issue.
Yeah.
Right. But when someone wanted to donate, it's just not just feeding the cats, but there's might be a monthly subscription that somebody can do, or they can adopt a cat that they're interested in learning more about. Is there those are programs that are out there, correct?
There are. You can sponsor our cats at different levels, and it gets you different levels of, like an 8x10 picture or downloadable picture. And we have a website for our store where you can buy merchandise and such at bigcatrescue.biz.
Awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
I really do.
So you had the idea about cams in the wild. I remember, God, it was probably 10, 15 years ago, or 10 years ago now.
Were you videoing Kirby at the time?
Yeah. No, there was like one of the biggest cam. It was one of the first early cams. It was like on an eagle's nest, and it was like the biggest live stream ever.
We've seen camels born on camera,
but it was just this eagle's nest, and it was just it was one of the early ones, and it was just people were just enamored with these baby eagles and just watching them.
Giraffes. That's what it was. It was a baby giraffe.
And the giraffes, and the waiting for those baby giraffes. That was a big thing. So people will buy into this, and people will give you their time and have their eyeballs on it, and you can have the ads running around the sides. Do you have anything going like that now at Big Cat Rescue where people can peer in on the critters at your place and contribute and see and tour the place virtually?
We provide all of that for free because we want to drive demand for that. So right now we have over a dozen live webcams on different enclosures at the sanctuary. And we had 2 vacation areas. So the cats that are in those 2 enclosures are always different cats every couple of weeks. So people get to see a lot of our different cats as they're rotated through that space. And you can find all of those cameras at bigcatrescue.org/cams, CAMS. We are in the process of installing 30 more of those. And I had already committed to that before COVID. So I'm having to pay for it, whether I can afford it or not. But the good news is people will be able to see more of our cats as those cameras are all coming online. And we also put out every week, we put out a new video on our YouTube channel, but we also put out a new immersive video on our YouTube channel, because the way we want people to see these cats is in virtual reality, in immersive reality, like you are in the wild with that cat. And those videos are they're getting as many views as our regular files because people are mesmerized when they're looking at a cat while it's eating, and they can actually see up inside that cat's mouth, and they can hear the crunching of the bones, and it's just visceral. It's really an amazing experience.
Wow.
Nice.
Do you like to listen to goggles on? Yeah. And I'm jumping in.
Do you like to listen to people chew, Jamie?
I do.
Like an ASMR thing going on in there.
One of my favorite things. One of my favorite things. So Carole, where are you and Big Cat Rescue going to be in the next handful of years? Where's it gonna be?
My ultimate goal is to put ourselves out of business. There shouldn't have to be sanctuaries rescuing cats from horrible situations. We can just end those horrible situations. We do rehab and release of native bobcats. And native cougars. Those are the only cats who can go free.
And let loose some of the Michigan Panthers on us, did you? You let that Michigan Panther go on us.
Not my cat.
No, because they have a bobcat rescue as well.
Yeah. What's the lifespan of a big cat when it's cared for well?
At Big Cat Rescue, our cats live into their late teens and early 20s. Our oldest cat was just, I think, a month shy of being 30. But in the wild and in other zoos and sanctuaries, they only usually live to be 10 or 12.
Okay. So you could feasibly put yourself out of business if this legislation is successful. Feasibly within the next 20 years, you could be happily out of business, which would be great.
Best answer I've heard.
Yeah.
Honestly.
All right. Anything that we missed? Anything that about the legislation or contacting people? So what's the contact? The bigcatact.org. Yes.
.com. bigcatact.com.
bigcatact.com. And that will get you connect with your legislators quickly and easily through many platforms. Marty, anything else we need to cover?
Yeah, I've got a really quick, funny story for you while Carole was here. So
I love stories, Marty.
I know you guys did. We were walking into the U.S. Senate yesterday afternoon, and I didn't have my glasses on, and Carole was in front of us, and our other two colleagues that were lobbying with us, and we're walking head on, so I couldn't really see what was in front of us without my glasses. And there's apparently like 30 people with a camera, each photographers from Bloomberg and Politico and all these different outlets. And we were walking in the same office as the new Supreme Court nominee while she was being interviewed by the chair of the Judiciary Committee, and who's hugely involved in this. So we thought there was this whole crew there for Carole Baskin. It was like 35, and they were there. But then of course they took 100 pictures of us. So if you go on Getty now, there's this great film roll of what they've put out there of our just walking into this office. It's really kind of hilarious, and was an interesting story, especially at this time in the world. What's going on with we can say we were there for when history was made.
Yeah.
So I'm just envisioning Austin Powers in the background. Yes, no. That's what I'm envisioning with all the cameras, like clicks happening.
Oh, that's great. You sent us a link. We'll link that in the podcast description.
Thank you for that, Marty.
So yeah, we'll put that in there. Awesome.
This has been time very well spent, Jamie.
Yeah.
Thank you, Carole, Marty. Your time is absolutely fantastic. It is. Wherever you listen to the Animal Talk Radio, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. But it is a Thursday evening. In the month of March in 2022. This COVIDian timeline has really taken a lot of folks, by a lot of surprise. But what you are doing and the work that you're putting into this, don't stop. Please don't stop what you're doing. I want you out of business, Carole. Honestly.
Well, thank you guys for having us. We really appreciate you guys are always so awesome and have done so many shows with us. And having Carole on, I know has been a special treat. She's such a fantastic advocate, and there really is no one I think I've ever met that's more dedicated to an issue or cause than Carole Baskin.
It's just I appreciate both of your times. It's I know it's been a long couple of weeks there in Washington. So thank you. And that's it. We'll see you guys. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, and thanks again.
Thank you guys.
So we can go to Facebook now and see where it aired.
Yep.
Okay.
Stick around for a couple of seconds afterwards. We're going to end.